world surrounded by franchises, reboots, and shared universes. An elite team of podcasters will risk body and soul to investigate the depths of intellectual properties, one multiverse, subgenre, and trend at a time. Who are we? We're the IP Squad.
Welcome back to the IP Squad and our ongoing investigation into films based on the King Arthur legend. I'm John Campbell. Of course, my partner for this investigation is Kinsey Campbell.
Hello.
Kinsey, we talked about I think this is the first. I have to think back to all the things we've done, but I believe this is the first animated movie we've covered on the IP Squad. I think.
Oh, wow.
Certainly the first Disney animation.
Animated.
No, usually we leave those aside. Usually we don't do them simply because, like the video game season, that would have led down a whole rabbit hole of having to do a million of these things.
I feel like I'm a good choice for the first Disney film you've done, as someone who was once told by a second grader that I'm too obsessed with Disney and I can't let it go.
Yeah, you are,
So I feel like I'm a good choice.
As the internet would say, a Disney adult.
Yeah.
I
went to both Disneyland and Disney World in a single year.
Yeah.
So.
But I will say this.
My laptop sits on it. It's a small world mat.
Right. I will say, though, this movie we were both talking about this beforehand because we were Disney kids growing up and had watched lots of the Disney animated movies. This wasn't one that was in the rotation for us, though.
No, I don't think we had this one. I don't think we ever had a copy of
I'm
Sword
certain
in
we
the
didn't
Stone.
own it, and I don't remember having much affinity for it. And upon watching it again, I also realized we really didn't, because I aside from a couple scenes, I really didn't remember this movie. It doesn't have many memorable songs.
No. The songs are interesting. They're not really what you expect from Disney. They're not super catchy.
No, they're not. Like even now, and we watched this yesterday. I'm struggling to remember the songs, and this is actually, I didn't know this. This was the first movie that the Sherman Brothers wrote. This was the first. I should say this is the first animated movie. This was the first.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, I think it's just the first in general movie that they contributed songs for.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah, because obviously when their name came up, it was like, oh man.
Yeah, right. Because
I was expecting more.
The next year they did the songs for Mary Poppins, which is countless iconic songs. And
my gosh, that whole movie is amazing songs.
And then they would go on to do Jungle Book and Aristocats and a bunch of these things.
So they've got a ton of Disney hits that are going to be on those Disney Mania collections I had as a kid.
Yeah, the Sherman Brothers were sort of the songwriters for Disney. At least in the classic era. So it is interesting that they started in sort of this pretty forgettable.
Well, so many of the songs are just sort of Merlin saying magic words.
Yeah.
And so they're tough to sing along to.
But the thing about them too, but they're also just sort of because of that, they kind of fall back into just being lesser versions of Bippity Boppity Boo from Cinderella.
They're very similar to that.
Yeah.
Except for the first song, which is the introduction to the legend of King Arthur. That's the only that's a real song.
Yeah,
and doesn't have that Bippity Boppity Boo feel to it.
No, because that has that. Yeah, that almost fits into the movie we talked about last week. That has that medieval in the nights of the place where the shining, it's sort of that medieval ballady kind of thing. So yeah, this is from 1963. We're talking about the Sword in the Stone, of course. And yeah, this is from Walt Disney Pictures. But here's the interesting thing about looking up the background about this. they bought the rights. Walt Disney purchased the rights to T.H. White's The Sword and the Stone, which was the first piece of what will become The Once and Future King. So this was a movie that they had in the docket and just kept going, Sword in the Stone, not now. Sword in the Stone, not now.
Oh.
This was one, they just kept pushing along because they initially, they developed Sword in the Stone, Cinderella, and Alice in Wonderland all at once, but those both came out 10 plus years before this movie.
Wow.
Yeah. So they just kept going.
And there's definitely some Alice in Wonderland stuff in this.
Yes, for sure. You can feel that
some of the imagery very Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. And basically what finally got them to do this, and this makes so much sense, is in 1960, Camelot is a big hit on Broadway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they were like, we can make it now because there's an interest in this.
Yeah, Disney saw Camelot and was like, hey, we have a Arthurian thing. Get that going. But
that's interesting, because we're a lot of kids interested in
Camelot. I don't know. And the thing about this is,
wanting to see that.
The thing about this is, this one was met with kind of meh reaction when it came out.
I can understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it did okay. But
as an adult, okay, this one's not the best.
And it got significantly mixed reviews at the time.
Yeah, I can understand that. That makes sense.
Because I do think this one, the script just isn't here on this one, is my big issue with it.
No, there's not a ton going on, and they kind of just keep doing the same things. Right. Just now we'll do this again, just slightly different.
Right.
And there's not a lot of like the character. I mean, there was one character I enjoyed, but most of the characters aren't that great.
It doesn't have a lot of.
You're not that endeared to them.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of that spark that a lot of Disney movies have, right? Like with the character work.
No,
and stuff
it's
like
really
that.
lacking that. It's disappointing.
It is, yeah, for sure, and especially because when you think about it, this came out just after 101 Dalmatians, and so I mean they're cooking at this point. It's not like, well, this is kind of a rough time for Disney or something. No, they're doing good work, and like I said, they'll eventually, then they'll do Jungle Book after this, and the Aristocats, and so. It's a weird outlier. It's also not, talking about it in the context of this season where we're talking about movies based on Arthurian legend, it's not really satisfying if you're a King Arthur fan.
No. I thought it would be far more about him as a child, sort of learning this prophecy and learning about being king. And that is maybe the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, it is a weird thing, because I am sort of going like, what is Arthur's arc in this movie, right? Like he eventually is able to pull the sword from the stone, but before that, it's mainly him training with Merlin, which just involves him turning into a lot of animals and getting into shenanigans.
Yeah, a lot of animal shenanigans. If that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
If you're like, I love animal shenanigans, then this is the film for you. If that's all you care about. You don't really need a story. You just want to see some weird things happen with people turning into animals. Right.
And some of this is true to I'm looking at the T.H. White story, because they are primarily adapting, we always talk about this, they are adapting or adapting a specific thing, which is not always the case in the Arthurian movies. But in this case, they really
are. Say that in the credits.
Yeah,
that's what they're adapting.
Right. So this is specifically based on when we talked a little bit about the Once and Future King last week, and how it became such a, it's considered one of the definitive tellings of the Arthur story.
Yeah.
And so they're adapting specifically what will later be called Once and Future King Book 1, The Sword and the Stone. And this is the basic beats of it in this movie. You know, and they do turn into animals in it.
When I do get why Disney would latch onto that, because Disney loves animals and funny things with animals and talking animals. So I get why if Disney read that, they'd be like, "Oh, we gotta get that and do that."
But it seems like
and lean heavily into that.
That seems to be a piece of the story, but doesn't lean on it nearly as much as it does here.
This movie really enjoyed that part of the story.
I mean, once again, I haven't read the Once and Future King since high school, so but like they talk about in that, it's mainly that he's meant to learn that animals don't perceive national boundaries, and sort of this idea of like a communion of all people. Everyone shares, that we're all citizens of the earth is basically what Arthur's legend for being an animal is. It seems like, and once again, I'll get the comments below if I'm wrong about that, but.
I'm not sure that's what this movie
really
taught Arthur. It seemed to be more like survival instincts.
I mean, for sure when he's a fish.
Yeah, like you got to survive, and how are you gonna like get out of this situation? And you can't just magic your way out of it. Like it seemed more like how do you survive? I mean, more than like we all live together.
This movie is written by Bill Peet, as the name of the guy who wrote it, who was one of the go-to writers at Disney, going all the way back to Snow White, and was basically there through the beginning of the production of Jungle Book before he ended up sort of parting ways. But he talked about he's really apparently struggled with this script to find a way into this, and I can kind of see that.
Yeah. You can see the struggle of I don't know
and it's
what to focus on.
It's a bummer because, one of Disney, especially like 60s era, 50s, 60s Disney, this was also a time when their live action stuff was really taking off both in film and television. And they did a lot of, what would have at the time been considered, and of course, this is reductive now, but what they would have called back then boys' adventure, right? Like stuff like Zorro or Treasure Island or things like that. And so you would think like, oh, Disney doing a King Arthur movie makes so much sense. They do these sort of rockling adventure movies. And so it's interesting that they pursued it, number one, as an animated piece and didn't do it as a live action movie, which feels like, because I think it's interesting to look at last week's movie, Knights of the Round Table, which in some ways almost looks and feels like an old Disney movie, not quite with the same sense of fun, but that you could see them. You could see them making something in that vein, but instead they make this, which is really for children in a way. And I know that's like, well, yeah, it's a Disney animated film, but you know what I mean. And I think a lot of listeners do. Is like this one is a tough sit as an adult, as you were saying.
It is, because I remember it being a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
Than I felt it was as an adult. Also, I wish it was more of an adventure thing. It felt like once we were at the castle, we were just sort of at the castle and we weren't really going anywhere.
It feels
if there had been more of like Merlin and Arthur going on an adventure, that would have been a little more fun, a little more lively.
It does feel oddly small scale, surprisingly small scale. Watching it again, how contained it all feels. And we also talk about the lack of a strong villain. They sort of introduce a villain real late in the game, but that's also a key component of Disney films, right?
Yeah, that was definitely strange, because there's always, there's the evil queen, there's the the evil stepmother, like there's always somebody who's getting in their way. But I mean, like his foster brother, I guess, kind of is a dick.
Yeah, but he's not really evil.
And then but he's not evil. And then like maybe in the last 20-30 minutes, there's briefly a villainous character,
right? Which is Madame Mim.
There's no classic or at least maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe.
I don't think people talk about Madam
There's
Mim.
a classic.
Well, because like you said,
No, I don't usually.
This was being developed along at the same time as Cinderella and Alice in Wonderland, which both have very strong villains, and then after this they'll have the Jungle Book, and I think was this before that? Right before this was 101 Dalmatians, which obviously has Cruella de Vil, who's incredibly iconic.
Cruella de Vil is.
Look, there's a whole movie about her you can go watch. I mean, that's
So that movie is surprisingly good.
That movie is surprisingly good. I don't know how they managed.
I was like, why are we doing that? But I watched it and was like, oh wow, that was actually fun.
It's actually very good. I think everybody was taken by surprise by how good that movie is. But no, I think that's a big piece of it too. Is there's not. And there's a weird thing to say because it's a kids movie, but a kids movie still needs stakes, right? And so there's not really a central threat here. There's not a lot. I think that's what we're talking about when we're saying, like, it feels like there's not a lot driving this story. You're sort of like, oh, Merlin's going to take this kid under his wing. You're like, great. And, like, that's cool, but, why now? What happens if he fails? I mean, he basically the only threat is just, like, he's going to have to stay and, be a servant to his foster father and brother.
Yeah. But even that, he's almost, like, excited about. Like, he becomes a squire at one point, and he's like, whoa, I get to be a squire. He's, like, really excited about that.
Right, yeah, he has no desire to be king, which I get, like, in some ways.
I get that, because why would he?
But I also get the idea that's in something, you're right, that's like an appealing thing for a good king to not want the power, and so that's why he's maybe, the right guy to do it. But yeah, it's weird. And what the weirdest thing to me is how little the sword and the stone of the title actually is involved in the movie.
Yeah, it's introduced at the start, and then we see it in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty late in the game that he pulls the sword from the stone.
It's late in the game that he pulls the sword from the stone.
And the whole bit about him pulling...
And he's unaware it's a thing.
Yeah, he just pulls the sword out of a stone, and then they're like, hey, whoa, how did you do that? And then they put it back in, and nobody can... which I've never seen depicted anywhere else, that they put it back in, and then nobody else can pull it out until he does it again for the public.
Yeah.
So, it's...
Because he's just like, I need a sword. I didn't get a sword for my brother.
Yeah, because he's
just running
squire,
around town looking for a sword.
Yeah, anybody seen a sword around here?
Yeah, and everything's closed.
Yeah,
so he's got to pull one from a stone.
Yeah, it's really it's interesting. There's just a lack. I don't know. Once again, I said the guy struggled to write it, but I'm like, it does seem that. I don't know. People were kind of checked out on this one or something. Not that the animation is as high a quality as you would expect from Disney.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does just feel like this was continue. Here's for animation nerds, continuing the idea that the 101 Dalmatians was the first one where they had the access to the Xerox thing, so that sped up production, obviously, because you could copy like backgrounds and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what. But the two chief animators came out of this feeling very positive about their work on this movie and said it's some of our best animation is scattered throughout this lively film. They said.
I mean, there's some really nice animation. Like, there's a scene where you're watching Merlin and Arthur talk, and you're just seeing their reflections in water, and that's the way it's animated, and like that's pretty cool, especially for the time. I doubt that a lot of other studios were doing things like that. So no, there's some really, and then there's an extended underwater sequence.
Yeah, which all looks good. It's just
yeah.
I mean, the movie feels episodic in that way, right? Like the idea about like here's the scene where they do this. Here's the scene where they turn to fish.
Yeah.
Here's the scene where they turn to squirrels, which we'll talk about is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in a Disney movie. But, you get these sort of moments, and you just don't feel like it's building to. I mean, obviously, where it's building to. He's going to pull the sword from the stone, but it just, there's a lack of momentum in this movie. And look, I'm sorry we're bagging on this movie. I'm sure this is a nostalgic favorite to some, and that's fine.
I mean, I'm surprised. I went into this going like, oh, this is like,
yeah,
because I remember seeing it as a kid, and then I remember my high school English teacher showed us this when we read Once and Future King. We watched Sword in the Stone.
I don't remember if we ever watched any of this. I will talk when we get to it about them showing a cleaned up version of Excalibur. Which is funny. Yeah. We went to, or at least I did. It may have already, the Clean Flicks version.
Clean Flicks?
Yeah, our high school had several Clean Flicks copies of movies, which, you know.
Yeah, I remember seeing Memento.
Yeah, in psychology class, I also saw that. We took
that same class. The Clean Flicks version of Memento.
Where they took out all the language and violence. So there's just long stretches where there's like just a black screen, because you're still
so
hearing
weird.
it, but you don't see the violence. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, and of course, you can go read the history of Clean Flicks and how they got shut down because you're not just allowed to re-edit studio films that you don't own the rights to. That's
makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That's super
Plus,
illegal.
No one wants to be watching those.
What is sort of a thing about
just weird. Just find a movie you can show.
Yeah, I don't understand that, but yeah. So we watched and I know you haven't seen Excalibur, so I think you'll also be shocked by it. It's a very, very R-rated take on the Arthurian legend. So,
okay.
I think that's you're going to be like, what is it, 20 minutes? Because
Well, this one was G for tobacco depictions.
Yeah, well, that was the note now we got on the Disney Plus now, is that a couple times Merlin smokes a pipe, and so you have to warn people about that, obviously, because I got kids here,
Look
man.
Out.
But no
Merlin's.
No worry about horny squirrels.
Oh, good Lord! I did not remember that at all. I kind of remembered the fish. I did not remember the squirrels.
I distinctly remember the fish scene because, like, what they looked like as fish and stuff like that. I have a distinct memory of that design. But then, and then they get this whole sequence where they go underwater, which is fine, and they get chased around by. There's multiple times. There's a lot of goofy bits in this that feel not Disney-y, like that sequence and the wolf in particular. The wolf that keeps trying to eat Arthur.
Wolf. Yeah.
There's very Looney Tunes.
For a good chunk of the movie, a wolf is trying to eat Arthur.
Yeah.
Because he goes into like a dangerous part of the forest where he's not supposed to go, and this wolf is just very, very determined. Like, I will.
But
eat you.
But it has sort of a Wile E. Coyote sort of thing. That's what I mean. It has this sort of like Looney Tunes way that he keeps getting bonked on the head or something like that. And I just am like, I was surprised at that. For not that Disney movies don't have physical comedy in them, but it just felt very cartoony in a way that I don't think of Disney as being. I mean, isolate examples, but it's a whole runner.
It goes on for longer than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Wolf.
Yeah, exactly. And then you want to get to a scene that goes on longer than you think. Let's talk about them. Yeah, let's talk about them turning into squirrels, because Arthur and Merlin, or Wart as he's called in this, which is also from the T.H. White. Wart. That is from the T.H. White's novel, piece of a novel. I don't know what. Anyway, Merlin turns them into squirrels, and basically immediately, this female squirrel likes what she sees in Squirrel Arthur, big time.
Yeah, she's very into him. She's all over him.
And Merlin,
she's literally like wrapped around him.
And Merlin is like bemused by it, right? He's like, "Oh, she likes you. Oh, that's great."
Yeah, and he was just like, "Well, that's what happens when we become squirrels."
Because squirrels mate for life, which we did do a quick Google told us that that's not accurate.
Yeah, Merlin was not accurate. And then he's also like, "Oh, watch out, and she's a red-headed squirrel."
You know how they are, and you're like,
making it even more troublesome.
You're like, yikes. Because then, not only do we get that whole bit, but then look out, this older squirrel, female squirrel, likes Merlin now. And he's like, oh, dear.
Yeah, then he finds it not so funny when all of a sudden he has a squirrel chasing him. And it's just these female squirrels chasing them all around this tree and grabbing them and, wanting to, I don't know, marry them, I guess. It's very strange, and it goes on forever.
No, it feels like it's the whole middle section of the movie.
Squirrels being like, love me.
It's so weird. And then when they turn back into humans, we get a teary-eyed, red-headed squirrel being like, no. Yeah. And that's how the scene ends.
Yeah, like, you betrayed me.
I have no idea.
She's like in her home. She's in her little home in her tree, just sobbing.
I stand by. It's one of the weirdest things I've seen in a Disney film.
Yeah. You're just watching, just going like, what am I looking at? How is this happening on my screen?
So strange. I can't believe how weird it is.
I don't know what Arthur or Wart was supposed to gain from that.
No, I don't. Yeah, it's.
I don't know what Merlin wanted him to get out of that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a weird. It's super weird. It's just unbelievably strange. And like, kind of. I mean, at least the implication is sexual in a way that's very much like, what?
Oh, 100%. It's very strange in tone.
Yeah, I don't understand who greenlit all of this. And were people like rolling the aisles at this, back in 63? Was this killing with the audience? I don't know.
Yeah, like, I don't even know, like, would kids find that funny? I have no idea.
I think it's interesting. I'm looking at some of the Common Sense Media gave the film 4 to 5 stars, and they're the people who warn about stuff and just says it's a delightful classic. Okay. Yeah.
Did they forget about the squirrels?
Yeah. And so let's talk about Merlin's whole portrayal in this movie, because this is definitely we still haven't seen a Merlin. I mean, we've only watched 2 movies, but it's interesting that both of them have this sort of like sort of like harumping, oh dear, Merlin that I don't really think of as the version of the character in my mind.
This is a very goofy Merlin, and
which I'm not surprised by to see in Disney.
He's tripping over his beard.
Mm-hmm.
He is very silly.
Yeah. Very silly. Lots of beard business. Lots of business with his big long beard.
So much stuff with his beard.
Huge amounts of business.
Things getting caught in it, him spilling things on it.
Him pouring tea into it at one
trying
point.
Him trying to brush it and it gets all frizzy. There's so much stuff with his beard.
I mean, it's you can't believe how many bits of business there are with the beard. It was wild.
Yeah. I think he shuts it in a door at one point.
Which once again, that's all so fine because it's, that's kids animation stuff, and I could see a kid laughing at that.
Yeah.
But like, he's never really called upon to be like a real deal wizard in this.
No, there's really nothing where he has to, battle something or.
Yeah, he's just sort of this like. Once again,
teach Arthur something that helps. Yeah,
what does he teach Arthur? That's a big question I have, is what does Arthur gain from knowing Merlin? Because at the end of the movie, they have this parting of ways that and Merlin goes to Bermuda. Oh
my gosh.
So you get him in like a Hawaiian shirt. Vacation Merlin.
Vacation Merlin.
Vacation Merlin. And you get this whole bit with that, and then there's this point where it's like he's become king at that point, and he's sitting there on the throne bored, and he's unsure what to do until Merlin comes back, and that kind of peps him up. But my first thought was like, well, what's this guy gonna do? Like, how is this guy gonna help you? What does he bring to the table?
You into another animal?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's just I just think it's so interesting that like in the Arthurian legend, Merlin is sort of Arthur's greatest, he's his mentor, but his greatest confidant and advisor. This Merlin doesn't seem like he'd be able to help with anything like that.
This Merlin doesn't really come off like that. He also has the ability to like see things in the future or have experienced things in the future, which I've seen Merlin have that power, but it's usually used for like an advisory.
It's in the White story, and they do take this thing that he references stuff where they're like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that hasn't been invented yet." That is from the T.H. White novel.
But his is like solely vehicle based.
There's a lot of he has a little toy train that he's made, and they're like, "What's a train?" He's like, "Oh yeah, that doesn't happen yet." And he mentions a helicopter at one point. He's like, "Oh yeah, they don't have helicopters yet."
Yeah, it's just weird that he seems to only reference things that are vehicles.
Well, it's an interesting thing, because you would think that would be the setup to him able to use that to get them out of a jam or something, that he knows the future.
Yeah.
No,
not really. It's solely just for like jokes about like, oh, you don't know what a helicopter is?
Oh, yeah. It's weird. Like, there's just a lot of stuff in this movie that doesn't come to anything, right? It's just sort of like, it's very strange, just the way that it's a lot of setups. And I guess that makes sense in some ways, because they are adapting purely the first part of a story, right? This is the origin of Arthur story.
Yeah.
So
it's also interesting just how Merlin uses his magic, because he uses it a lot for like packing or cleaning. But then it's like, you can't just use magic for everything.
But you kind of can.
But then he'll be like, but we can use it to cheat.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird how he wants to use magic and when he wants to use it and when he doesn't want to use it. It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think, and then you've got the whole bit with Arthur's foster father, because Arthur's an orphan who's been taken in by this guy. And Ector is his foster father's name. And you have this whole bit where he's like,
"Oh, he uses black magic. That Merlin's no good."
Yeah. Or what does he call him? Marvin?
Oh, he keeps calling him Marvin. Hilarious.
That's a running joke.
Yeah, but this idea that and then eventually that will get him tossed out when he discovers that they've been using black magic to clean up the kitchen.
Yes.
But it's like, okay, that's an interesting idea. So his father like is anti-magic and thinks it's the dark arts.
Yes.
What comes of that, though?
Nothing really.
Yes, what I mean is there's not a lot of follow through in this script.
In other things where Arthur has a father who doesn't like magic, but it's usually there's more of a threat to that.
Right.
And there's more of a danger to that, especially because he's hanging around with Merlin.
Oh, I do.
Like, there's way more like, whoa.
I will say, yeah, there's sort of we talk about part of the lack of momentum, and of course the villain is part of this too, but the idea that there's sort of also a lack of thread in this movie.
Yeah.
Like
you're not really worried about anyone at any point.
No,
or worried that anything bad's gonna happen.
I mean, you've got, once again, like the foster father doesn't like him, but that guy's not a bad guy per se.
Yeah. And his foster brother, who's a Guy Ritchie character.
Yeah, he just sits around going like, well, I love his whole thing is if the foster father is worried about this being black magic, the foster brother is just unimpressed by the magic. He's just like, whatever. Yeah. Come on, who cares? Big deal.
I just wasn't expecting him to have that voice.
No one else does.
When he started speaking. Because no one else does. And I was like, what in the world is that?
Well, we've got to talk about the weird voice of Arthur in this, right?
Arthur's voice it confused me immediately.
Well, I can explain that to you. Which is they started recording the voiceover for this with an actor named Ricky Sorensen. And then at some point during the recording time, because it takes a long time to make these, he started going through puberty, so his voice deepened, And the director was like, oh, no, I've got to do something. So then started just recording the lines he needed with his own sons, or the other two providing the voices.
What?
So you've got 3 people, but he didn't go back and change everything, just the stuff he needed. So you technically have 3 different kids doing the voice of Arthur, which is why Arthur has wildly different voices at different times in the movie.
Yeah, because the first thing with Arthur, I was like, oh, he kind of sounds like an adult doing a little kid voice.
Yeah.
But then the next scene with him, where he's with Merlin, I was like, oh, that actually sounds like a different voice. That sounds like a child now.
Right.
And so you're getting these very weird voices, because it's all over the place. Of sometimes he sounds a little bit older, sometimes he sounds a little bit younger.
I can't imagine anyone doing this today. That would be so wild.
Oh no.
No one would let that happen now.
I don't think Disney would now allow a director to go, I just used my own kids.
And also, once again, it's like, even if you did, the idea about like, well, no, I'm not gonna replace what I've already recorded. I'm just gonna slip these in. You're just like, well, that's really weird.
No,
it makes it really.
They definitely wouldn't do that.
You get, and so I think part of that then too is also, as a result of that, is it's hard to pin Arthur down as a character.
Yes. Because you're just not getting a consistent speaking voice from him.
No,
he frequently sounds like different people.
Yeah, it's very disconcerting, and it's a huge problem with the movie.
Yeah, because I mean, it's noticeable.
Oh, it's hugely noticeable. It's not
like, oh, we did it, but it works.
No, it felt like out of desperation, this guy was just like, I got kids around. Throw you. Yeah, you two. Get in the movie. You can do this. Just say these lines. Come on.
Get in the car. We're going to record stuff.
Yeah. Oh, because, I mean, of course, that was another thing, too, where obviously people didn't have, home recording studios and stuff like that. So everything would have had to have been done, in a proper recording booth at Disney, probably.
Oh, my gosh. That's so bizarre that was what he did to solve it.
I mean, it really does speak to just this attitude of, we just got to get this thing out, man. We got to finish this thing up and get it gone. We've got a release date to make,
well, it's interesting
Walt's going to have my ass.
Both of his kids.
Yeah.
Was that like if I only use one, the other one will be jealous?
It could be, yeah.
You wouldn't just have been like, we just need one other person.
They don't say why they said he used both kids.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it explains a lot.
It's one of the biggest like actual problems in this movie. Yeah. I mean, they talk about literally they'll be within scenes. He'll say something, somebody will respond, and it cuts back, and Arthur is now a different voice saying the next line.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
It did not work.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Now, the character designer for this movie claims that the model of Merlin was based on Walt Disney himself.
Oh, interesting.
Which I don't fully see, but okay.
I don't.
Walt and his famous huge long white beard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing about him really screams Walt Disney.
Something I also didn't pick up on the.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Speaking on the same voice thing that we were talking about is that every time Arthur trips, falls, or as they say, loses his footing, it's the exact same reaction. They only have one like, oh! It's just the same every time.
That I didn't.
I didn't pick up on that, but apparently that is the.
We got the one sound.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't. I gotta look how long these other movies were, because this one felt short, and that may just be part of the pacing more than anything. But Sleeping Beauty's 75 minutes. Sleeping Beauty's shorter than this. But 101 Dalmatians came out just before this. It's like the same length. So I think it really is just a pacing thing. It just sort of is the lack of, because they were all about this length, which I kind of figured might be the case. But this one feels so slight. But I think that's more in the story than in the runtime.
Yeah, it must be, because I used to watch a lot of these older Disney movies as a kid.
Yeah,
and enjoyed them. But they did have much more going on.
So here's a question that the movie I don't think ever really fully answers: does does Merlin know Arthur is going to be king? If the idea is that he can see because he knows there's the beginning of the movie where we haven't talked about Archimedes the owl at all, which is probably the most Disney character in this thing.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, Merlin is talking to his owl Archimedes and being like, "Oh, he's about to come. I know that he's arriving soon." Like, he knows he's going to meet Arthur.
Yes.
And he knows Arthur's going to be important to him and that he needs to take him under his wing. But they never expressly state that Merlin is like, because he's going to pull the sword from the stone.
He doesn't say anything like that.
I'm just thinking, because that would have been
like, I'm going to be having this meeting.
That would have
this
been
11-year-old boy.
I say that because I feel like that would have been something to track, right? Like, that would have been like, or even if it's like a thing, if we could have given Merlin something where it's like, I can't tell you your destiny, but I know what it is, you know?
Yeah, I would say it's unclear because, like, he doesn't know where the castle is. He doesn't know how to get there.
Well, he's presented so absent-mindedly, and of course, this is the studio that made the absent-minded professor. So, but like, he's so bumbling that you really do get this sense of like, I don't know what this guy, like, I don't know how serious to take this guy. Period. There's no moment where I wanted a moment where you saw Merlin be more competent or serious. He can still be goofy for most of it, but I wanted moments where it's like, okay, this guy is the real deal. And beyond doing some, he legitimately does magic. Never really in his personality do you get that sense.
No, and I've seen Merlins where, like, out to, like, the public, he's bumbling and he's kind of foolish and like, oh, look, I'm clumsy. Mm-hmm. But then that's covering up the fact that he is, like, a very competent,
right?
Like, you know, sorcerer,
right?
And he covers that up by pretending to be silly and goofy. But then when things get serious, he's serious,
right?
This one, he's just bumbling and goofy. Beginning to end.
Yeah. And then the movie just kind of we should talk. Yeah, let's talk briefly about Archimedes because I know you enjoyed him, and like we said, he is the classic. You know, I sort of feel like Disney animal sidekicks fall into either goofy, you know, like silly sidekick, or stern butlery kind of like, well, I never. And this is much more in that vein, where Archimedes is a grumpy old owl who doesn't want to do anything. Yeah,
I loved Archimedes. Probably because I am someone who does love a Disney animal sidekick.
Well, I said it actually does feel like something out of what you would expect when you start a Disney movie, for sure.
Oh, yeah. He fits perfectly. He's grumpy. He doesn't really want to go on adventures. He's annoyed by everyone. He kind of just wants to be in his little house.
He's got his
tired. He wants to sleep.
Yeah, and you can always cut to him for like a "oh brother" reaction, kind of, right? Like,
yes,
which is, you know, that's big for these things in terms of introducing some semblance of comedy into here. Yeah,
he's definitely the comedic relief, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, in a dry way, for sure.
Yeah, but he's fun. And
yeah, I mean, I could have used more things like him in it. Not specifically more animal psychic characters, but just more characters with personality. I mean, even I do think Arthur's foster family comes and goes from the movie, but they at least have a vibe. Those are distinct characters.
They do. Because, like, his foster brother is, you know, this big, tough guy, but he's also kind of dumb, and he also, like, isn't very good at being a knight, and he's kind of struggling with that, and, like, that's, you know, something.
If that had been a bigger part of the movie, instead it's just like, once again, it's just sort of like the movie is waiting to get to these moments of where they turn into animals and stuff. They're like, that's where we're gonna have that's where we want to get to, because that's where the animation's gonna kick in and stuff like that.
Yeah, or like, I think the most well-known song is probably when Merlin's and he's packing up his suitcase.
Yes.
And he's singing a song. So moments like that as well, like him packing his suitcase, and, you know, his all of his furniture gets small so it can go in one suitcase, or he animates the dishes, which is very, you know, later on. The
song you're referring to is Higitus Figitus is the name of that song.
Yeah.
like even
I don't know if I think that was on a Disney sing-along I had.
because I mean that for sure.
I had
we were
a lot of Disney sing-alongs.
Yeah, I mean in the era we grew up in, that was a big deal. Kids before there was YouTube, they used to sell these tapes that were just compilations of the musical numbers from Disney movies.
Sing-alongs. Disney sing-along songs.
But I think that was one of the reasons these songs became so iconic to us as a generation. Is we had these things that specifically spotlighted just the songs. So a lot of the reason people of our generation know those songs, and especially the older ones, oftentimes we would know song. I mean, like, of course, dig into your own research intensely about Song of the South, but Zippity Doo Dah, I remember as a kid, was a thing we knew, but we were just like, it was just like, what the hell is that movie? Never knew what the movie was because it didn't exist.
There definitely was a tape with Zippity Doo Dah.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what that was from.
Well, because that movie had already basically been wiped from existence by the time we were kids.
Yeah. So I had no idea what that was.
And we're just like, oh, okay. It's a Disney song, but from
like,
what?
Oh, it's
same thing when you went on Splash Mountain, it was like, this is a movie? I didn't know that forever. I didn't even know it was based on a movie. I thought it was just a thing.
It was like, oh, it's the song from Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
Even though that song is not on Disney Sing-Along Songs, or I don't think it is, on Disney Sing-Along Songs, Disneyland Fun, which was my favorite.
Yeah, but none of those weren't clips from movies. Those were scenes of Disneyland with the songs playing over, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why it's not a compilation though. Yeah, you've always had a love for watching Disneyland where I'm just like, I like going there. I don't need to watch other people go there.
I do enjoy just watching Disneyland.
I am looking at...
I will watch live streams of people at Disneyland.
I do think, and when she showed up in the movie, this is true, Madam Mim has actually had kind of a history in just the world of Disney.
Okay.
She ended up becoming like a villain in the Donald Duck cartoons and comic books.
Oh.
Like, I do recognize her as like evil sorceress lady, not necessarily from this movie, but they used her over the years just as sort of like witch placeholder in a lot of Disney stuff. I mean, you even talked about Archimedes kind of became the owl in the Disney was well known for doing, people talk about like Little John in Robin Hood is basically the same design as Baloo in Jungle Book. They were known for sort of like, oh, that's a Disney design. We can kind of use that over here and over there, and
Well, yeah, because I thought that Archimedes was the owl that introduces Disney sing-alongs, but that's actually Professor Owl.
But I mean, the design is almost identical.
They're almost identical. Like if you mix them up, it's understandable.
100%. They look very, very similar. I mean, he's blue, but beyond that, I'm looking up the Professor Owl on the Disney Wiki.
Yeah, he introduces it. He tells you how to do Disney sing-along songs.
Exactly, yeah. They talk about, and actually that design also, in The Legend of the Three Caballeros, that same owl design is used for a different character even.
Oh, I have been on that ride.
So there you go. So I mean, they talk about that. This owl design pops up in a lot of stuff.
Okay.
It's from.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's from the yeah. I mean, they even talk about he basically got turned into the character of Knowsmore in Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Oh yeah.
He's basically just Archimedes to Professor Owl to Knowsmore.
Yeah, I do like Knowsmore.
Of course. I mean, he's Alan Tudyk, which is great. And Alan Tudyk would be Archimedes if this was today.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. There
Without a doubt that.
In July of 2015, according to this, they were in development on and were supposed to shoot in 2018 a live-action Sword in the Stone movie that ended up.
I didn't know that.
That ended up, falling apart for whatever reason and is at the moment not in active development. But that makes sense. This feels like one that they would want to adapt in live action. We'll see if that ever comes to be. But it definitely feels like one that could maybe even be improved, as we're talking about, by a longer runtime with maybe some more serious stuff in it or something. I don't know. I'm bummed that that we've been so harsh on the movie. But it doesn't age. It just doesn't age well. And I think like we talked about, I don't think it's a thing kids are finding today. Once again, maybe, people listening, maybe their kids are into it. I don't know. I can't speak for that. But it just seems like it's kind of a forgotten Disney movie. It's one of them. It's like people go, oh, yeah, Sword in the Stone. That was a Disney movie. But I don't hear it talked about in the same sense of even something like the Robin Hood movie, with the same level of nostalgia.
No. I will say to people, though, to look up clips of Merlin in Disney parades, because the dance scene that these Merlin actors do is pretty fun to watch. It is. They go for it with the dancing, and they're like hooked in, and they are just like, their arms and their legs are going all over the place.
Okay.
And it's probably more enjoyable than most parts of this movie. It is entertaining to see these Merlin actors in the parade.
All right.
Because, yeah. And that's like a thing that people are into, like, oh, the Merlin dancing.
I didn't know this. I didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because they frequently are on parade floats.
I mean,
in Merlin.
It's certainly not anything that Disney has forgotten. These designs you see around Sword in the Stone.
No.
I mean, they used to have the thing where they would. I don't know if they still do that, where you could pull the sword from the stone in the.
You can still pull the sword.
So there you go. They still do a thing,
And I think the carousel at Disneyland is King Arthur's carousel.
Oh, it might be. I don't know.
I've actually never done the carousel.
Yeah.
Nor have I tried to pull the sword.
No, that's. I mean, I think it'd be weird for a man in his 30s to be like, "Hi, for I am king."
Why not?
They want kids to do that.
They want kids to do it.
Yeah.
And there's people who, like, no one quite knows how it works or why.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can pull and sometimes you can't. But no, I believe that's still there, and that is still, King Arthur's carousel.
Okay, let's talk about the box office of 1963. This movie ended up doing, let's see, looks like it made $4.7 million in its initial release. Because the thing about the Disney movies you got to keep in mind, and actually an interesting piece of trivia that I read just reading about this, was that Roy Disney, who was Walt's brother, thought that the best financial decision was to stop making feature films because we've made enough now that we can just re-release them again and again and again and again forever.
Oh.
Because, of course, this was a time before home video, right? So it was like, they're going to hit. People are going to want to see these again. And we have enough back catalog that we could just, every year we put out Cinderella, then Snow White the next year, then Sleeping Beauty the next year, and just pocket that money without spending anything.
Oh, that is...
Yeah,
quite the plan. I don't know.
I mean,
if that would have worked. I don't know.
Well, it would have eventually hit the wall come home video.
I mean, they only had so many.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so it's an interesting thing, but that was not enough to crack the top 10 of 1963, which I have.
I didn't think it was gonna be.
It's not. I mean, it was a success, but not not to the level of.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because, like, when we were kids, they had the vault. The Disney vault of, like, get it before it goes in the vault and you can't see it again.
They purposely created scarcity out of these things. Yeah, that was the whole approach was, own it now before it goes back into the vault. And then once it was in the vault, it was gone. Yeah. It was gone forever.
It would just be gone. Like, you won't see it anymore because it's in the vault.
Yeah. And I remember that even into, like, trying to get some of these movies on DVD. Like in the mid 2000s, it was like, oh, they now go for hundreds of dollars because Aladdin is in the vault.
It's in the vault,
which is crazy to think about. Of course, that's crazy to think about.
It's bizarre to think about now with Disney Plus, where you can get them any.
Well, it also was
anytime you want. Like, kids today would be like, "What are you talking about?"
It was an interesting idea, but I think now people would be like, "Well, wait, they would have always made money on these. Like, even if you sold less." Somebody's still buying Mulan or whatever, right? Like,
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the big thing. They loved the scare tactic.
I don't think, no one else was doing that.
I don't remember anyone else doing that. I very specifically remember the Disney ads.
Yeah. Me too. Because I remember that before it goes in, and there would be an animated vault where they would, like, lock up a VHS copy of Snow White or whatever.
Yep.
It was very... I mean, you
The
know,
whole thing.
this is the least hot take in history. They've always been very good at marketing over there at Disney.
Oh yeah, they have.
They know how to get people interested for sure.
Yep.
But anyway, let's talk about what were the biggest films of 1963.
Okay.
The biggest one, number one at the box office, was Cleopatra.
Oh.
20th Century Fox's
Yeah.
legendary historical epic Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton.
Yep,
who,
that's
of course,
a big one.
but the thing about that movie is it was the highest grossing movie of the year, and it still bombed because they had spent that much money on it.
Oh wow.
It's a legendary story of you can read all about Cleopatra is such a fascinating movie to read about because it's basically like the end of, not exactly, but it signals the end of studio dominance in cinema, right? When it's just like, oh wait, these companies can be broken.
Yeah, if you spend that much.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
It was the highest grossing movie of the year despite being dubbed the biggest box office disaster in cinema history.
Wow, that is such an interesting combination.
Yeah, it just basically it's just like we finally shot a movie that's so expensive it can't recoup.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah.
That's pretty bad.
The second was, and this is also very, like, keep in mind these first three movies are all examples of massive epic films because it was How the West Was Won is number two, which is a gigantic, sprawling. I mean, the poster declares 24 great stars in the mightiest adventure ever filmed.
Whoa.
Yeah.
24 great stars. Wow. That's a lot.
Well, I mean, because you had Henry Fonda and Gregory Peck and George Papard and Robert Preston and John Wayne and Jimmy Stewart and blah, 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 and on and on and on. And, everybody shows up for a little, it's basically like kind of like a segmented movie in some ways, right? Telling the history of the American West.
Well, that
I think,
clearly drew people in.
I think somewhere, it must be, I'll have to ask our dad if he does, he had the hardcover book that they gave out at the screening of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool relic of, a time when they were just like, here, take this hardcover book full of color photos and stuff from the movie.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you would not get that now.
No, it's really, but at the time they were just like, sure, it's promotional. And then the next one is the comedy equivalent of that, which is It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Which is a gigantic, we're going to get all of the comedy stars of the era and make a gigantic movie, and it's 3 hours long. Isn't that funny? To each their own. I will say, frequent IP Squad contributor Robin Jones thinks it's the greatest movie ever made. So,
Oh, wow. That's a big statement.
Yeah.
I don't think comedy is being 3 hours long.
I mean, to get to just my opinion, I do think in some ways the idea of a comedy epic is maybe a misguided approach.
It's not an approach you see a lot.
No, I mean, I will say it is something to see because it is like, wow, all these people are in this movie, right? Like, how many places can you go and see Milton Berle and Sid Caesar and the Three Stooges and I mean, it's and Jerry Lewis is in it, and it's the similar thing, and Jack Benny. I mean, they really is just like every living comedy icon of that era is in it. And Buster Keaton's in it, and
and that clearly was.
It was a big hit.
People in. That was an appeal to people.
100%.
But everybody.
And it was a big 70mm epic. And then the last two we have here are Tom Jones, which is a Albert Finney starring, British period comedy that I think I'm kind of surprised actually made as much as it did. And then you have Irma La Duce. Somebody will tell me why I'm wrong about it. Have you seen this?
I think so.
With Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine?
Yes.
It's a very movie is why I bring that up.
Yeah. I enjoyed that one.
It's a silly time movie. Anyway. And then Disney did take the 6th spot with the aforementioned sequel, or the sequel to the aforementioned Absent-Minded Professor. Son of Flubber was the 6th highest grossing movie of the year.
Oh, so they did get in there.
Yeah, and then you've got Charade, which I know you love, at 7, and Bye Bye Birdie. Move Over Darling is a 9th.
I love Move Over Darling.
Yeah. Hey, 9th and 10th both taken up by James Garner, because then The Great Escape is the 10th highest grossing movie of the year. So
that's a little different.
Yeah, he had a rom-com and an action movie out that year, though. Pretty good for Jim Garner.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's solid box office.
All right, we'll wrap up as we always do with the segment called Highs and Lows. We'll look at
Oh, right.
Yeah, we'll look at the people who loved and the people who hated this movie. Let's start with a high, because, that's what people expect. I think is remembered as a classic, even if it's maybe got its issues. So we'll start with a 10-star review here. It's interesting that some people do acknowledge, like, hey, if you got kids, that's great. And it probably is. Yeah. Okay, here we go. This comes to us from a great name. It's a IMDb user, Smells Like Cheese. Urkel, is that you? Is it Steve Urkel by any chance? All right.
Oh, no.
He loved cheese.
Urkel.
He loved cheese. That was one of his, classic characteristics.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be an Urkel.
Yeah. I won't read it in Urkel voice to save listeners' ears. I cannot believe I never wrote a comment. Oh, sorry. The title of the review is A Disney Film Not to Be Missed. I can't believe I never wrote a comment on The Sword and the Stone. My friends always joke how I'm the ultimate Mickey Mouse, since I'm such a fan and I own every Disney movie on DVD. I wanted to watch one of my movies last night. I picked The Sword and the Stone and rediscovered how much I loved this movie when I was a kid and still love it today. I went on IMDb to see if I gave the appropriate rating, but I was surprised to see that I never did write about it. But I guess better late than never. Sword and the Stone is just a classic treasure that no family should be without, but also the film lovers. A wonderful classic story told Disney style and filled with great songs and beautiful animation. How could anyone not fall in love with The Sword and the Stone? It goes on to describe the plot, blah, blah, blah. I think my favorite moment of the film is definitely the battle between Merlin and Mim, since this is one of the rare Disney movies that doesn't have a definitive villain. But I think Mim was as close as you could get. The battle was epic. I'm going to debate that.
Epic.
And absolutely amazing to watch. Plus, I love the classic sound effects with good old slapstick humor. I also love the story when Merlin turned Arthur and himself into squirrels and they were attacked by the lady squirrels was just too cute for words. I know the animation isn't up to par with today's standards, but this is the exact animation that I loved growing up because the animators seemed to have a love for the film they were making. The Sword and the Stone is a classic Disney film that should never be missed, and I can't wait to show my children one day. Disney always had a way of taking classic stories that may not interest a small child and puts action, adventure, romance, and wonderful animation into it and made it come to life. I can't believe I hadn't watched this movie since I was a kid because no film lover should be without this treasure. It's just so excellent and magical. It takes you back to a simpler time when we were destined for greatness and the world was at our fingertips. 10 out of 10 stars.
When we were destined for greatness?
I guess just in relation to the plot of the movie.
I like how many times they said, I can't believe I haven't written a review of this.
People were expecting it. You know me.
Yeah, like everyone knows me as the Sword and the Stone person.
That's my whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. They really love this thing.
I mean, look, if it connects with you on that level, I'm not going to say this is like a garbage movie, but yeah, it just didn't grab me.
Like it grabbed this person.
Yeah, and that's great. To
and
quote,
that's fine.
We
there
hate
are other
movies.
Disney movies that I do have that.
To quote the fellows over We Hate Movies, it's okay to like a movie.
Yeah.
And
they really like it.
Yeah, I fine.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm impressed with every Disney movie.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
That must have taken some time.
All right. Well, let's hear from Neom12071. I don't know. Who has a bit of a different opinion. The title of the review is "The Worst Disney Movie That Is Considered Underrated."
Okay.
The Sword and Stone is a terrible movie that takes a great story and twists it. The acting the acting makes it worse. The movie did only one thing right, and that makes it 1 star, not 0. You can't give it 0 stars, but that's right. The animation was the only good thing about this movie. The Sword in the Stone has only one thing it does right, animation. Hand-drawn animation is amazing, and this movie was made when hand-drawn was still being made. Too bad nothing else is good. The animation was the only reason it wasn't no stars. The Sword in the Stone is, in my opinion, the worst Disney movie. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Young kids would find it boring. Adults would find it stupid. Also, did I mention this? There is no story. 1 out of 10 stars.
Whoa.
I mean, that's I didn't care for it too much, but good Lord, that is way more extreme and angry than I would be.
It's definitely not the worst Disney movie.
No,
it's not.
No, come on now.
No, and I didn't love it, but I'm not that angry about it, or nothing works in it.
It's a disaster. A disaster, I say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would not be that harsh about it.
No, it's mid. It's mid. I would say it's mid-tier Disney, really.
Yeah, I would put it in the middle.
Yeah.
It's not the bottom of the barrel. It's not probably even near the bottom of the barrel.
No.
They've made much worse than this.
Well, there's their whole 2000s, right, where they were really floundering, and there's some bad. This guy see Home on the Range. Eesh.
Yeah, I mean, Home on the Range is the one that I usually see people put at the bottom, because most people I don't think have even seen Home on the Range.
It's pretty bad. The thing I would say about that is I don't hear anyone defend that at all.
No. I have some that I like and other people will say aren't great, but
sure.
I'll defend Atlantis.
Right.
And I know that's not a favorite of everyone.
But you're not alone in that. That has its fans. Even I think Brother Bear has people who are nostalgic for it.
Yes.
That's not one of mine.
I knew someone who said, I knew someone who that was their favorite.
Wow, that's that's not my opinion, but I never hear anyone go, Home on the Range is really misunderstood.
No, I think we all know Home on the Range didn't work.
No, that was really, that was like, oh boy, I think Disney might be in trouble. All right, well, they're your highs and lows for Sword in the Stone. We land somewhere closer to the middle of this thing.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, hey, if you want more from us, and why wouldn't you, honestly, you can head over to our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/punchupent. That's punchupent. Get cool exclusive bonus content, as well as help support all the shows on the Punch Up Entertainment Network. Your support is greatly appreciated. We love our patrons. So check that out. Also, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications on our YouTube, which is youtube.com/@punchupentertainment. Make sure you don't miss a single episode of any of our shows over there, including several of our video shows, which we also have. So be sure to check that out. All right, Kinsey, next week on the show, we're going to stay in the year 1963. Okay. But things are going to get a lot more live action with the movie that is definitely not bearing the lead on who it's really about. This one's called Sword of Lancelot.
Nope, I'm guessing it's about Lancelot.
I think it might be about Lancelot, and we talked a little bit about this. I think maybe off mic. But this movie is written, directed, and starring Cornel Wilde as Sir Lancelot.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this
right, because I was surprised that I didn't think that happened a lot in the 60s.
I don't think it did, really. There weren't a lot of these sort of auteur actor filmmakers.
Yeah. So that was surprising.
So it'll be interesting to see. This is all coming from Cornel Wilde.
This is his vision.
His vision, and it is a tale of Lancelot. It is also known apparently in some places as Lancelot and Guinevere. And based on the poster and everything, this one looks very much centered on grand romance.
Okay.
So
that can happen with these.
Never seen this movie. I do know Cornel Wilde. I think it's very interesting that the person who plays King Arthur in it is also the person who played King Arthur in the Prince Valiant movie that the show talked about back in its pulp and comic strip heroes season. So
he just took a liking to
playing King Arthur. Yeah. And I will give you, as always, actually, I think I forgot to do this with Sword in the Stone, but I often do this, the tagline for next week's movie. Here we go. This was the loving, battling, lusty age of King Arthur, the Knights of the Round Table, the fabulous age of Camelot. Sword of Lancelot.
I don't like lusty age.
Yeah, that was. I don't. You see that on some posters back then. I will say they like to throw lusty around. It was a lusty age, the lusty age of Camelot.
No.
So
don't love that.
Well, too bad. That's what we're getting.
Too bad. That's what I have to watch.
Yeah. So that though I think is going to do it. Until next week, the case file is closed.